I'm now joined on the line by Clayne Crawford of the hit TV show, global TV show, Lethal Weapon. And Clayne, if I can start off by asking you, Lethal Weapon, we all know the movie series. It's legendary. It's probably immortalized. Everyone all around the world saw it. And when did you learn that they were going to bring it into a TV series? And how did the opportunity arise for you, first of all, to be cast as Martin Riggs in Lethal Weapon? And were you a bit sceptical at first, given the success of the movie franchise, that it could be turned into a successful TV series?
Here in the States, we have primetime TV, which is our network television, which is a little more corporate ran, and then you have cable TV, which obviously the subscriber has to pay for, so there's a little bit more freedom creatively. And when I first got the call from my guys that Fox was doing a show and that they wanted to talk to me, just the idea of working under a corporate umbrella, and I do consider, we're just silly actors, but I do consider myself an artist, and to kind of work within those confines where money is the driving force, and consumerism, that initially turned me off.
Okay.
So I didn't even know they were trying to make Lethal Weapon. I just knew that Fox wanted to talk to me about a show they were doing. I was trying to finish a series called Rectify, which is a little show that I was doing for Sundance Channel, which I took a lot of pride in, and we were preparing to finish the last season of that. So the last thing I wanted to do was discuss another project, simply because I didn't want my focus to be taken away from kind of the job at hand. But they were quite persistent, and when I eventually asked my guys, I said, well, look, what is it they're trying to make? And they said, Lethal Weapon. They want to turn it into a TV show.
Wow.
And I think my response was a large cackle, and then said, don't call me again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And I think that's just because I was such a fan of the franchise.
Yeah.
And I, like everyone, felt, especially with that first film, you can't duplicate that.
No,
and
it's like Die Hard, isn't it?
It is like Die Hard, but even more so because of the relationship between the two individuals.
Yeah.
Granted, there was I don't think any of us can even remember what it was really, what the storyline or the criminal arc was.
Yeah.
We were following these two guys, and I kind of felt in my heart that even if Richard Donner, Mel Gibson, and Danny Glover and Shane Black had it to do all over again, it might be hard to duplicate that again. Much less if you got three goof dicks who have never fucking made Lethal Weapon go try to make one, right?
Yeah.
So I said no, and to be frankly honest, I didn't know if Damon Wayans was going to be a great Murtaugh. I just look, and this all goes to why I'm not a producer, right? Because obviously I don't know what the hell something's good and when something's going to be bad. So I was hesitant. They talked me into it. Well, they taught me to read the script, and when I read the script, I thought that maybe there was something here, you know. And then of course we got on set and we shot the pilot. There was no audition process for me. It was really just more about them trying to convince me to say yes.
Okay.
And once I did, we kind of hit the ground running because they'd been looking for Riggs for about 3 months.
Okay.
And I said yes on a Thursday, and we started shooting the following Thursday.
No.
So I had very little time to kind of prepare. So for me, a lot of the discovery of the character was through the shooting process and working with Mick G, the director.
And I suppose, if I can ask you, Clayne, we all know Mel Gibson's portrayal of Martin Riggs, and you're probably going into that Lethal Weapon franchise. You want to stamp your own authority and bring your own sort of role and characteristics to Riggs. And when you sat down maybe looking at the script and to do a bit of research, was there any sort of ways or gimmicks that you wanted to take on, maybe to identify Martin Riggs as Clayne Crawford, and maybe to distance a bit from the movie franchise and Mel Gibson's part? Was that a big sort of corner? So how can I alter this character away from people know as Mel Gibson to people can relate and associate to Clayne Crawford?
I don't know if there was that much ego involved in the decision making, or as far as the creative process. For me, it's really the removal of ego to be able to play something. If anything, It was more of trying to give myself amnesia so that I did not have anything to compare what I was doing to. So it was trying to strip away everything that I knew about Martin Riggs and try to read the material and approach it the way I do each role, which is, if Clayne Crawford was in this situation, if I had been raised this way, if my life had taken these steps, who would I be? And that's really all I can bring to a role. And for me, physically, I felt that he should be someone who is kind of thrown in the towel. I feel like that his personal hygiene and how he kind of presented himself on the surface, he kind of gave zero fucks in that realm. And then I felt like that there was something very playful about losing everything and kind of reverting back to being a child in a way.
Yeah.
And I saw a playfulness that kind of kept him, I felt like Martin Riggs was the guy that laughed to keep from crying.
Yeah.
So I said, how do I create that this guy is truly miserable from 24/7, but he can't come off that way? And I didn't want him to come off as zany or wacky.
Yeah.
Because, Mel had 2.5 hours to tell his story and to show us what he thought of Martin Riggs.
Yeah.
I had to do it over 22 hours, right?
Yeah.
22 different episodes. So I didn't want him to become slapstick, and I didn't want him to become a character.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be a real human being that was dealing with real issues, and it was heartbreaking. But because he carried so much pride that he never wanted anyone to see that sadness. So the only way to cover it was with silliness. And then I think he found a way through that silliness almost to disarm, quote unquote, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because if he comes in like he's a goofy clown, then everyone all of a sudden has kind of let their guard down a little bit, which allows him to execute his plan.
Yeah.
So I kind of started building from that world, and then along the way I found aspects of Bugs Bunny, in this guy, and I found aspects of like Andy Griffith, and slowly he kind of began to morph over the pilot process. But as far as like me trying to separate or make him stand out, if anything, it was just trying to bring as much truth and honesty as I could to the character, and through that, I think he created his own identity.
And Clayne, we're here now in season 2 here in Ireland. I think we just shot here in the UK and Ireland on ITV the episode Bird Watching with Scottie Pippen appeared on our TV screens there last night, and I just sort of wondering as well, the Lethal Weapon, the movie sort of franchise, it was just maybe Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, but in your TV series now, I was speaking to Keesha Sharp there in January before season 2 aired here in the UK, and she spoke to me about the evolution of the rest of the cast, trying to make more prominent characters that were in the background of the Lethal movies and bring them more to life. And that seems something you've been able to take on in a TV franchise, which is rare enough. I know yourself and Damon are still the main sort of parties, but you've been able to elevate the other cast members that would have been there to a higher level and get sort of detailed storylines about them as well, which is a huge success.
Well, I think that was one of the opportunities or a silver lining, as it were, to doing a television series outside of a film. It allows you to explore these other characters in detail that really support and in some ways, I feel that the women in this series are truly the spine of the show. I think that they are the strength, because Merton Riggs in a lot of ways are just like little boys, and whether it's Dr. Cahill or whether it's Trish, these women kind of keep these guys in line, or Palmer, or any of the characters that we've kind of these fabulous women that we've had come through. But even Kevin Rom's character that plays Captain Avery, I mean, that's a character that we would have never been able to have. We would have never had the time to explore in a feature. So yes, I think it was a wonderful opportunity, and I think that they have just enriched the show in such a way, it's given it such texture and depth that I think as an audience member, it allows us to connect to everyone more fully. And and to me that gives a greater television experience.
And I suppose I was talking to Keesha in January, and I was asking her to bring me through her working week on set Lethal Weapon, and the first thing she said was that it doesn't compare to Clayne and Damon's in relation to their schedule in relation to filming. So I'm going to ask you, Clayne Crawford, in relation to playing Martin Riggs, that I know it's been a hectic few months for you, but when you arrive, you've shot one episode, you're arriving into the studios for the start of the next episode, for the next week's show that you're filming. Take us through that working week when you see the script for the next episode of a Monday morning, say at 9 o'clock, until you shoot that final scene where it's ready to go live for that episode. How long does that take in relation to offset shooting and locations and script rehearsals? And I'm sure, how long does it take to even shoot one episode?
It takes 10 days. So, each episode is 10 days, which is quite ambitious. And, you've seen the show. There's a lot of moving parts, and we take a lot of pride in the stunt work that we do and the special effects. And we put a lot of thought into those things so that they aren't just flashes on screen, but that they somehow propel the story, or they connect us to the characters a little bit more. So, from the onset, we get the material. I meet the new director because we usually have, a new director coming in for each episode.
Okay.
So you have that. You begin to try to create that relationship and that bond, so that you feel comfortable and safe to work with this man or woman. And that's kind of the genesis of it. And then look, we've got a great crew, and it becomes perpetual motion. So it's really just inserting different elements, but you try to keep the wheels moving at a specific pace, not to really slow down. We average about 75 hours a week.
Okay.
Damon and I, we put in some pretty heavy hours.
Yeah.
But I have to say, knowing that it reaches the audience that it does, and knowing how fanatic fans are.
Yeah.
I can tell you, on those Friday nights when you've been working all week and you just feel like you can't do it, you can't take another step, knowing how much people love it and knowing that it's actually,
it's international, really. It's global.
Well, the ratings or whatever, but it seems like, I have more people come up to me who have dealt with loss and sadness in their life, and somehow this show gives them some comfort, or solace. And it's as an entertainer and as an artist, all you want to do is distract people from their lives, or to help them look inward, or to, some people use this, obviously for political, but it's really a matter of distracting, and entertainment should be able to allow them to kind of go into another world, and I think that we've been able to do that, and that's extremely rewarding.
And I imagine working with Damon Wayans, there's an awful lot of humour on set where they're shooting in relation to jokes and cracking, and an awful lot of laughter and bloopers and sort of funny stories. And we always ask this when we look at TV shows. Is there any moment in the last 2 or 3 months that probably stands out to you, a particular moment during a scene or shooting where just everyone just sort of burst out in laughter, and that story is a sort of funny story, and you'll always remember that sort of week or something for that incident? Is there any sort of thing in the last things that, do you know what, that was a really great day, or that was a really great scene, or something sticks?
Look, for me, a really great scene is kind of executing everything that I want from beginning to end. Here's the thing. I have a lot of fun when I work, but I take it quite seriously. Yep. And Damon, and you know this, with comedians, a lot of times comedians are some of the most serious people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And Damon is one of those guys. So I think that there's definitely times that can be fun and lighthearted, but I would have to say, for the majority, it's a pretty heavy set at times. And I think the exhaustion, because it takes us 10 months to shoot 22 episodes.
Wow.
So, especially these last 3 months, it really becomes a marathon.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning of the season, we're all so excited to be back. to get back to Warner Brothers and to read the first script and the excitement of what the season can bring kind of washes over you. But I have to say, as you get into it, it's a job,
yeah.
you know, and it's a job that if you don't take seriously and if you don't do the proper prep, then you're gonna waste a lot of people's time and create longer days for us. So I'd love to say that it was just a bunch of goofing off, but I think like anything that is worth watching, it can be a grueling process at times.
And I suppose, Clayne, this is probably the most trickiest or hardest question I'm going to ask you. I've asked this about in relation to several TV documentaries, shows, okay? If you were to say in Clayne Crawford, all right, and his portrayal of Martin Riggs, and it was put into a dictionary, and there was 2 sentences left blank underneath. This is not an epithet or anything like that, but what would you like those 2 sentences to read?
To describe Martin Riggs?
To describe your portrayal of Martin Riggs.
Oh man, 2 sentences.
What would you like to say at the end of it, looking back, we'll say, I hit those, there were probably 2 milestones that I'm very proud of?
If I was going to look back on playing this character, oh man, I don't know. You know, it's tough. I think it's tough when you're in it to be able to reflect.
Yeah.
You know, I have a tough time watching the show sometimes, simply because it can be a trap, can it?
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. It's tough. You know, I'll have to say I'll make a deal with you. When this show finishes and we're preparing to wrap up our season finale, I'll do another interview with you and I'll be able to answer that question for you then.
That's a brilliant news, Clayne. And Clayne, before we let you go now, we did this with Keesha Sharp. We have done this with several celebrities, from Robert Davi to Charlie Sheen. It's just a quick fun. It's a quick bit of fun. It's a bit of rapid fire. It's 10 questions, and it's basically how well do you know Ireland. So it's only a bit of light-hearted fun, just to finish.
Okay, let's go.
To finish. Okay, so Clayne Crawford, you're a celebrity. How well do you know Ireland? Question 1. Can you name any colour of the Irish flag?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to be terrible at this, and all my fans are going to hate me. You shouldn't ask me these 10 questions, but let's go.
Keesha scored 6 out of 10, so all you have to do is beat Keesha. Question number 2.
I'm not going to beat Keesha, and you know I'm not going to beat Keesha. Damn it. Okay, let's go. Question number 2.
Question number 2. Can you name any county in Ireland?
No. I've never, in fairness, my people are Scottish, and I've never been to Ireland. In fairness. Now, a friend of mine just shot a film out in Ireland, and she had the greatest time and spoke nothing but love and came back with a Guinness habit. Let's go. Question number 3. Maybe I can answer one question now.
I say you'll get this one right. What is March the 17th known as worldwide?
Okay, St. Paddy's.
Correct. Question number 4. You can take a guess at this. Which of these is a famous Irish tourist attraction? A. The Cliffs of Moher. B. Brandenburg Gate. Or C. Oystermouth Castle.
And how many? Would just choose one?
Yeah, just choose one. It's only one is the right answer. Is it the Cliffs of Moher? Is it Brandenburg Gate? Or is it Oystermouth Castle?
C. The castle.
Oh no, it's the Cliffs of Moher. Question number 5. Which of these is a famous Irish river? Is it A. the River Shannon, B. River Rhine, or C. River Leck?
It sounds like Shannon.
Correct. Question number 6. I'll give you a bit of hint on this one, okay? Can you name any famous Irish sports star from any sport? And this guy was all over the news. He's been all over it recently about his publicised wrecking a bus and breaking conferences, and he's fought Floyd Mayweather in a mixed martial art event.
Yes, McGregor, Colin.
Okay. Yeah. Question number 7, and you've already answered this already in a previous sort of question. Which famous alcoholic beer was founded in Ireland?
Guinness, lovely.
Oh, correct. So you're on number 4. So you're 4 correct. Question number 8. Ireland was once occupied by what country? And it's our neighbours across the pond.
Scotland.
Oh!
Shit, no, it's British, right?
Yeah. The English.
Yes, Lord.
Question number 9. Which shrub or plant is the national symbol of Ireland? It's green in colour. Correct. Correct, shamrock, yeah. And question number 10. Can you name any famous Irish actor or musician?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. So, what? Daniel Day-Lewis, is he from Ireland?
Daniel Day-Lewis is from Ireland, yeah.
Yep, and then Glenn, and I can't pronounce his last. Hasgard, is it Hasgard? Glenn Hazard, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Glenn Hazard.
You're not leaving. I'm coming with you guys.
Well, Clayne Crawford, you actually equalled Keesha's score in relation to I'm a Celebrity. How well do you know Ireland? You scored 6 out of 10. If you had said England rather than Scotland, you would have scored 7 and you would have beaten her. But Clayne, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you as we look back on the revelation that has been Lethal Weapon. And I'll hold you to that if going back that you might be on the show with us again sometime in the near future, Clayne Crawford. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you on the airwaves here today in Ireland.
Look, it was an absolute pleasure, and forgive me for my terrible history of your beautiful country, and just know that I will educate myself for the next time we talk, and I look forward to doing this again.
Cheers. Thank you, Clayne. Thanks a million. Bye.
Bye-bye.